So hey guys, what's up? This is ScherBR, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be talking about this banner. It's the third banner from the Lunar New Year campaign. It has global exclusive Monika and 3 platinum styles that will be added to the platinum summon. And they are from Urban Saga 1. They are both good. I believe that Miriam and Bar are way better than Grey, but Grey can still be used for some content. And global exclusive Monika, nothing to fear. This Monika was hinted as a long time ago, and I believe that it's even more than 1 month. They were teasing that it was a sister that dealt pierce damage. This was hinted between live streams, and I'm surprised by the direction they took with this Monika, but I'm not just surprised because it's just so good. It is good, but it has so many strange stuff as well. We'll be talking about this Monika, but let's start with those that didn't get any buff or any different between global versions. We start with Grey. We are on our SaGa now, and you can see that there are a lot of different versions of Grey. We have this one that's the starting one. We got this on the launch of the game. Then this one was a free one that's pretty terrible actually. And then we have this one that's the one on the banner, and then 2 others that got released very close to each other. It's very strange, but yeah. So this was the best Grey for a long time before they released this other 2 very close to each other, and it has some usage, but it's just another slash damage dealer. He uses a Grey sword. For things we have to compare the status and modifiers from all of them. This version of Grey has 89% for STR. It's good, but it's not comparable to our great slash damage dealers that they are already passing through 19%, but the difference is not so high. As you can see, he doesn't have so much endurance, no much dexterity, but at least he has speed. STR and agility are his game. You can already see that he also gets more raw values for agility and STR. Well, the first skill is Smash, has C power, 18 modifier, can be reduced to 4 BP. It's a very old skill, still not that bad. The second skill is Yaksha Ransom, is a multi-hit attack. You can attack between 3 to 5 times with special effect against floating enemies. The power is E, 7 modifier. You can reduce this to 9 BP. It's hard to use. He will start with this and then he will just keep using Smash. Smash, well, it's not so good. Being on 4 BP means that he will not be using Smash on turn 3. And if he gets to attack 5 times against his floating enemies, the damage will be very good only when you have only 1 target. And one of the best damage if you compare his passives, but still not so reliable for farming, maybe just for some challenges, I don't know. That's his selling point, it's still not so good. The third skill is called Car's Word. Actually, this will change in translation. It is an AoE attack with only B power. It gets updated in the future for a very powerful attack. That will be S modifier, but we're still not on this era of the game. So his selling point is the second skill, and if you can take advantage of the second skill, you get a lot of damage. And for passives, we have Full of Fighting Spirit. On the start of a new turn, he gets 25% chances of getting a buff. For his own STR, the buff value is 20%. So if he gets this before he attacks, it will help him deal very good damage. He has fired up 3 instead of fired up 4. Well, it's, I don't know, it's strange balance. And the last passive is Assault 3. So he gets 30% increase in damage for 1 turn. That's like Barthélemy. So what we have here is 40% increasing damage on the third one, and also a chance to increase his own STR. If all the stars align and he gets the STR buff, he gets also 5 attacks with his second skill, and is still on the first turn, he will deal a lot of damage. Some people may try to reset till they get the perfect scenario, but he's still not a reliable character. And for inheritance, we barely have any option with this version of Grey. Waterfall Blade can be upgraded in the future, then you can inherit from his style. You also have a way to paralyze or the buff STR, but that's all that he has as options. So in my opinion, he does not deserve a high grade. He's just like a 7 out of 10, and within time he just loses even more value unless all the stars align and you can deal damage against flowing enemies and you can get the buff, and well, you can manipulate out of this, but it's not so good. The next one is Miriam. As you can see, she has 5 different styles in Japan. This one was limited, this one is standard. This was released after the launch of the game, and this is the one that we can summon right now. The future one is for Mabel. All of her styles besides this one are free or easy to get, so it's easy to make your Miriam better. Now for the modifier, as you can see, the first SS version of Miriam barely had much intelligence. It was very close to even her S style, but now this version increases her intelligence to 86% plus 12. The agility is pretty high as well, and she's finally useful. The last version even has more intelligence, but not by a huge margin, and lower agility. Well, they are very comparable in my opinion. As you can see, the modifiers are very close to each other in the end. Well, like all other mages, she barely has anything other than intelligence, agility, and will. For her skills, she starts with Heat Wind. This one is the same skill that Barthélemy can use, and it's powerful. You can reliably use this for Zwig a lot of times because it only uses 4 BP. To get better than this, only if it could be reduced to 3. There's only one problem with Miriam, is that you cannot open with a strong attack and then use weak attacks, because Firestorm can only be reduced to 9. So 9 plus 4 plus 4 means 17. It's not possible to do what you can do with Wildfire and Light Ball for blue, Kong Ming, and all the light casters. For her role, you will just keep Firestorm on 11 and just keep using Heat Wind. But one of the selling points of her after Heat Wind is Tight. I don't know what the translated name will be, but this skill is super powerful and interesting, strong. As you can see, is double S power spell, 49 modifier, medium chance to insta-kill. And this medium chance is super good because of such a high intelligence. If you guys think that you can kill a lot of targets with your Princess Ray, she has small chance to kill, and she kills all the time if you have her maxed. And now Miriam has medium chance, and that is incredible strong for when you need this. You can open with this spell, but then you have a problem, the same problem with Firestorm opening for Heat Wind. She will be able to use Heat Wind on turn 2, but not on turn 3. But it's still a very good powerful attack that can be used in some strategies, especially if you have some other characters to deal with first wave. Well, for passives, she has this one here that kind of tries to make her sometimes being able to use Heat Wind twice after skill number 2 or skill number 3. This is Uplifting Spirit, very old. It has 25% chance of increasing 1 BP. The second one is Flame Amplification. She gets 10% increase in all heat damage spells. And Fired Up 3 to increase that by 20% on total. So 20% on all times. Heat Wind will be good. It will not be strong as Barthélemy version, but is strong enough for some content where you need AoE fire spells. And especially this skill here that can insta-kill targets. You can also use this very reliably in Conquest, because you only need 2 turns, and then she can use this on turn 1 and then use Heat Wind on turn 2. Very good for Conquest. And in my opinion, she's way better than Grey, because she's reliable. You can plan ahead, even through the first passive is more about RNG. You can still just ignore this and think about what skills you want her to perform. In my opinion, she's like an 8.5 out of 10 character that can be used in today's standards. Lose a lot of value between time, because only Fired Up 3 and Flame Amplification means only 20% increase in damage, compared to some other characters like Blue and Rouge that can get 30% on all times. And now for Barbara, as you can see, there are 6 different styles. All of them are platinum. This is awesome because there's no pressure to build your Barbara, and a lot of people will be able to also get her without having to rely on RNG or, well, waiting for her to come back. She's like one of the best buffers in the game has to offer, and between Barbara, Nawal's daughter, and the Matriarch, you have the start of the new meta that's called the buff meta. Sometimes one will be better than another. The best one is Matriarch, without any doubt, but you can use a second one. Sometimes Barbara and the Matriarch will be very powerful. Sometimes the Matriarch and the Narwhal's daughter will be better. It will depend on the turns and how fast you can clear content. She is a buffer for fast clears. And looking on the modifiers, you can see that sometimes Barbara is a physical damage dealer, sometimes she prefers intelligence. The last version in Japan do have more STR, a little less intelligence, can play more roles, but this version is all about intelligence. And now to give a look on all of her skills, Shadow Chains is the first one. We already know how good this one is, very high chance to inflict Paralyze, can be reduced to 2 BP. The second one is Energy Storm. It's an AoE attack for Dark Elemental, but well, I believe this one you will not be using since she's not that good of an attacker. And the last skill is Invited by Flamenco. This one is her selling point. It's a very incredible and one of the most interesting skills in the game. It grants a Morale Up buff to your squad. Morale Up increases the damage, the final value of the damage of your characters. And in Japan it was released with 35%, and now in global it's 50, it was buffed, so it's even better now. And let's say that you have a squad with 2 damage dealers and you are using a formation like Dragoon Strike. On the middle row you get 50% increase on your STR. That's the best value because the other 2 slots only increase 25. And let's say you use Invited by Flamenco. Those 2 characters will get 50% increase in their damage. So you will have a higher damage output than just adding 3 damage dealers. You have more utility out of this. It's a very interesting strategy where you don't need too many damage dealers, but you just increase the overall damage of 2 or 3 of them. Well, if you are bringing 2 supportive units. The good thing is that you have fast, so she always uses this before the other characters, increasing the damage potential even more because, well, you don't have to care about agility. And also she has a very high agility already. She will be going before most characters that you have. So Invited by Flamenco is a change into how you can play the game if you can bring very high damage instead of just keeping the fight for too long. Well, for passives we have to check the changes and we will have to go to the Discord channel to check this. We have Harder43 posted all the difference. Let's just go there. Before she had a chance to recover HP, that was better for long fights, but now she has this Viral Paralysis. It's a new passive that has a chance to inflict paralyze on all enemies on the start of a round. That is good for some specific challenges where the enemies are not resistant against paralyze. It will be good for when facing enemies with very high agility, but it's just for that. The passive number 2 went from Unexpected Beat. Let's check what is this. She could stun a random enemy with 25%. This was not so good. And now we have when landing an attack, she has a chance to reduce the target's will. It's a large effect. That's pretty nice because reducing will increase your magical damage and also increase your chances to inflict status ailments. If you are on a long fight, she just get more utility to keep going on. The third passive was not changed, so it is still Power Charge 2 that recovers BP on the start of a battle. So that allows her to use Invited by Flamenco on turn 1. That's the best usage of this version of Barbara. The last thing that was changed, I already explained it, it was the change on the Morale buff, went from 35 to 50%. That is awesome. So all in all, this version of Barbara is awesome. Her buff faces no direct competition, and the characters that also bring very good buffs are Nawal's daughter and the Matriarch, and they can be used together with Barbara if you can find room in your squad to use both. But the Matriarch is still regarded as a better buffer altogether because she buffs status and can also buff agility that makes some cheesy strategies in the future. But I do believe that Barbara has a room for different strategies and will keep being relevant because of how different she is. In my opinion, she's a 90.5 out of 10 in her own role that is a buffer. The only bad thing about her is that if you wanted her to go through long fights, I would prefer to keep the healing thing. And she does not do much stuff when she's not buffing. Well, it's a trade-off. You have a very good buff and then you have turns where you have nothing. Now we are back to SaGa Wiki Discord, and I want to thank Hyder43 and Arcelit by keeping up with this spreadsheet. He posted here the information, so we'll be using this to check this version of Monika. And, well, she's all over the place. There are some very interesting things about her design, while others feel something off. As you can see, she has dexterity on 85%. That's not that good. All of her SS styles that were released after the first one, the Platinum one, have 85 as well. Ward and Christmas have the same values. I don't know why they just try to use the same values again. Her agility is on 80s, that's not much of a problem. She has 2 arrows for intelligence and 74 modifier for this. Such a high intelligence makes no sense since none of her attacks actually use this intelligence in her favor. She needs inheritance to make use of intelligence, and that is a little of a bad thing. She also has only 50% in endurance while she's a counter-attacker. Well, her counter-attack is amazing, but she could have used it more endurance instead of more intelligence. I do believe that her intelligence can be used in her favor for different strategies as well. But that is for her interesting status. We'll be checking also the other styles to see how different she is. Here, as you can see, 85 is the same values for Christmas Monika and also for Award Monika. Her future style, this one here, is not so far from release. She's limited as well and has 95 dexterity. I don't know why they didn't decide to up her dexterity to at least 90s, or at least more endurance. She has even less endurance than this version of Monika. Makes no sense to me. And at least she has more intelligence than this version. Why? Because this one has more of a need of intelligence, so we don't know if they will change this version to, well, even surpass the current global exclusive in intelligence. Well, we need to check this version because it kind of complements the global exclusive, and if you want to summon for the global exclusive, you should also summon for this one in the future. The good thing is that she is paired up with the Matriarch, one of the best characters in the game, sometimes considered the best one. So you will probably summon on this banner. Getting this Monika here will make the global exclusive better, and getting this global exclusive makes this one better as well. So it's like you will not have a definitive version of Monika, you keep changing between the two. You have to double invest, so you have to use more gold pieces and keep changing between the skills. We have to get back here to the global exclusive one so we can keep discussing. The passives, the first one is Attack Surge, and when she attacks an enemy with weakness advantage, she will increase her own dex. Well, I would much prefer a buff that doesn't really care if it's attacking a weakness target or not. So this makes her totally exclusive to Pierce, since all of her attacks are just Pierce. We can have Pierce plus Heat if she inherits from her Award style. We have Firecracker, very powerful attack, can use it on turn 2 or turn 3. And that will allow her to, well, attack weaknesses that are different than Pierce. She seems to be built for Pierce exclusive squads, because of the second passive grants all surviving allies a Pierce attack boost. This is just like the same one that we got with Khalid. Khalid increases for lightning, she increases for Pierce and 10%. It's different than her brother, the Award Mikhail. Here is a guarantee, it will work all the time. And on the start of a turn for a max of 3 times. So, well, this is something that will help for fast clears. So your squad wants to get this buff on wave 1, wave 2 and wave 3. You need to clear all waves in a single turn. You have to prepare your squad to do this. At least you can use Mikhail and Zeno, that are characters that can also do very good damage with Pierce and AoE and some other future characters as well. And it's interesting since it's a squad buff, not just her personal buff. But it's also, well, a little restricted. And the last one is fired up 4, so 15% increase in damage. She will have 15% by fired up, 10% on every new turn for 3 turns, so usually on every new wave. And Dex Surge is just when she attacks and you get the buff on the next turn. So Dex Surge does not really work well with the other ones. It works well with fired up 4, but it does not work well with Piercing Blitz, because you want to finish every new wave in a single turn. Dex Surge only works on the next turn. And now looking at her skills, the first one is Cutting Lunge. She already had this before. It's a single target attack, deep power, 3 BP once awakened. Nothing special. And then she gets Stingray. This attack here is awesome. A very powerful attack with deep power. Well, this is comparable to Submachine Gun. Submachine Gun is a little better. But Stingray is so good because it uses only 6 VP once fully awakened. You can compare this to Sword Ballet, and Sword Ballet it's 11 and you get this to 9. Compare 9 to 6, it's just a new turn. And Monika can use this twice in a row and then she will just use Cutting Lunge after that. But that other Monika can use this better because she has Power Surge too. she gets 18 BP in 3 turns, allowing her to use Stingray 3 times in a row. That is something that only future characters can do in Japan, like the second year anniversary characters can do. A Xenon will be able to do this in the future, but this Monika will not be able to use this 3 times in a row. Only the future Monika will. And the last attack is Dazzling Ballet, and this one is impressive, super impressive. As you can see, it's a 10 BP attack once fully awakened, double S power, I believe it's 45 modifier, the same thing as Southern Cross, also the same thing as Mega Trust, but it's okay for 10 BP because it has a buff. This buff will give her a counter stance. This attack also comes with a fast property. So what will happen is, she will use this before your other characters. She has very high agility, it's easy to get her to attack before, and she will deal damage and enter this counter stance that she will evade all enemy attacks. Look, all enemy attacks. This is very similar to Summer Azami skill that was changing for global. She deals damage, then she enters an evasive counter stance for 1 turn, and every time people attack her, she will counter attack with Sword Ballet, the same attack I was talking, that has an 11 BP cost or 9 once fully awakened, and deals AoE damage to all foes, has a C power, and we will use the skill rank of Dazzling Ballet. What will happen is, you'll be using this girl for Robin Cup, or better for Hidden Dojo. You get the Tiger Shark formation, that's the best formation that increases aggro, and you use this on turn 1, it will come with fast, and if there are many enemies, they will attack Monika. She will counter attack with Sword Ballet, and Sword Ballet is only useful if you have way too many enemies, because C power is not that high. You see, it's a little complicated. She will not get to use this so fast. You will have to wait for 4 turns to get this up again, because it's 10 VP. If it was 9, it would be a little easier to keep using this, but it's not. In the end, Stingray is better for the next Monika, because she can use 3 times in a row. Dazzling Ballet is good, but on the same time, she has low endurance. If you want to keep using this and use her in the front of a Tiger Shark formation, it's still something that will not work all the time. She may die before she gets this to use again, and when you are dead, you don't get BP. You know, it's a little of a risk to keep using this after turn 1. If you can use this on turn 1 and you can counter a lot of enemy attacks, it has its value. But if you cannot do this, the value decreases and it's hard to justify summoning for her. I want to summon for her because I want Stingray and I also want this Dazzling Ballet, and I want to sometimes buff the pierce damage of my characters. But the real deal is the final version of Monika, because she also has this attack here called Hyaka Ryoran that has a chance to insta-kill enemies. So it's small chance. Small chance means that still good, like Award Claudia, because Award Claudia also has very similar intelligence than when compared to this version of Monika. And the final letter is a very powerful attack, but she will not be able to use this on turn 1. It has medium chance to insta-kill. The future Monika can use this on turn 1, because she gets power charge too. But our version cannot. It's a very complicated thing, man. If you want to have a very high chance to insta-kill targets, you use final letter with global exclusive, or this attack with global exclusive, but you cannot use this 3 times in a row. The future Monika can use this 3 times in a row. She can also use this attack in the start of a turn. So there's no definitive version of her. I don't know, it's a clash in design. I really don't understand this. One last thing that also works with our global exclusive is to try to make her a cheap stun inflictor. I will explain how. She has 75 intelligence, it's not that bad. You could try to stun targets with Feint. Well, Feint has medium chance. Well, it's not like stun Yunzin, it would never be that good. But it works when the enemy has low will, and maybe if you are using Narwhal's Daughter or Matriarch in the future to increase your intelligence. Even more Narwhal's Daughter, because the Matriarch do not buff dexterity. And the other option that she can use for her so high intelligence is Paralyze attack here, I don't remember the name, that can inflict Paralyze with medium chance as well, 5 BP. Besides that, none of her attacks uses intelligence at all, so I really don't understand what they did here. They wasted a little of dexterity or a little of endurance to give her intelligence that she herself cannot take advantage, only by inheritance, and even the inheritance options are not so easy to get. Okay, so well, this Monika here will receive an 8.5 out of 10 because her buff is still pretty fine. Her attack is awesome, but it is circumstantial, it's niche, it will not work all the time. And I am still not so sure if I will summon for this banner at all. Maybe I will wait when they do a return banner in the future with global exclusive Monika alongside other characters, and like we are seeing now, only 18,000 gens to guarantee a character. That will give her more value, but now if you need to go to 45k gens just to get this Monika, you may be spending too much for a character that needs extra help to work. Okay, so this is it, guys. Thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and join our Discord server to talk about romance in SaGa and other stuff. We see each other on the next video. Bye.